good son. There'll be peace when you are done. Welcome.
Welcome. Okay, now I'll intro. Now that we got that out of the way. Hey, welcome back, fangirls and fanboys. It's episode 101 of Electric Fancave and ElectricFeast.com. We had so much fun the last 100 episodes, we figured we might as well just keep on doing this thing. We'll be joined a little later in the evening by our THORrespondent, Amy Chase, to talk about the exciting new casting announcements for 3 and what the heck they mean. But before that, we've got movie trailers for Beauty and the Beast, Star Trek, and more. Expected pitch for the next James Bond, and some disappointing news about our future favorite movie, Black Panther. All that and more coming up, so grab a drink, settle in, and spend some time in the fan cave.
Woo, woo. You know what I was just thinking as you said that? Is Amy's gonna give us the, like a 101 course on Thor background
101.
What?
And it.
I just like
it's we planned it. Except if we plan things, they never go as well as just serendipity does.
True. So. Our plans are always thwarted.
Yeah, best laid plans of mice and men. How's your day going, Kristen?
It's going pretty good. I went to work today, and we had like a lunch for my friend who's having a baby, which was delicious. Except that I wanted this pizza, but the name of it is called Sausage Party, which is very unfortunate. But it's very delicious. But I wanted to order it, and so I did, and I was so embarrassed. But I was like,
"Can I have a sausage party?"
No, I did not. I said, I would like the Sausage Party pizza, please. Because I've already said enough awkward things this week. Yeah.
You've had enough of those kinds of misstatements.
Yeah. So, but the pizza was delicious. And then I went for a run today. And then afterwards, I went to Bonsai Bowl. And there's a very delightful young man that works there. I'm not kidding you. I've had him the past 4 times I've gone. And he's very nice. He's very excited that you're there.
Listen, for those of you who, I'm sure we've talked about this before on the podcast, because this is the bane of our Costa Mesa existence.
Yeah.
There's a place in Costa Mesa, California called Bonsai Bowl that has delicious acai bowls, but you have to deal with the worst on the planet. They just disdain that you're even there, and there's nothing you can do about it. They just everything about being there, every look they give you is just why are you doing this to me by ordering this Bonsai Bowl? And it takes forever, even if you order ahead, and it's the worst, but they're so good.
They're so good. And so I went today, and first it was really quick. So the only person in there, and the guy was like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" He's like, "Great, thanks. What can I get for you?" And so I tell him, and he's like, "All right, cool." He's like, "So how's your day been going? Going pretty good?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Did you just come back from working out or something?" So I was all sweaty and gross. I just finished 4 minutes before that. I was like, "Oh yeah, I went for a run." And he was like, "Oh, cool. Where'd you go?" And I was like, "What's happening? I don't like that you're being so nice to me. It's being weird.
You're like a trap."
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to tell you and you're going to be like, "Oh, screw you," and then walk away. But he didn't. He was very polite and very sweet. And then I took my order. He's like, "All right, Kristen, we'll get that up for you in just a minute." I was like, "Thank you. I will go." You're
not gonna judge my outfit?
Yeah, I kind of backed up cautiously, because I knew the second I turned my back, he was going to throw a banana peel at me. He just was super cool. So it was very impressive. It's a pretty good day. And then I'm doing some laundry, and I changed the sheets on my bed.
Beautiful feeling too. This sounds like a winner of a day, Kristen.
Very excited to go to bed later. And I just want to say that.
I have that same feeling, right?
There's nothing better than clean sheets, you guys.
I know, really. It's the best feeling in the world. Clean sheets,
If I was rich and had lots of time, I would change my sheets every day.
Well, if you were rich, you could have someone else change your sheets every day.
That's what I would do. And then if I was rich, I would have someone change my sheets every day. And that would be their only job, would be to clean my sheets.
Yeah, that's it. They don't need to, it's not like a housekeeper where they do everything. It's just literally you just clean, you change my sheets every day.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I can get behind that as a thing. I absolutely love that feeling. I just love like going to bed. Going to bed is just such a wonderful thing, and that just enhances that. We basically I was procrastinating yesterday, so I got really busy with Fancave things.
Hey-o.
And so for one thing, I put new banners on like everything. So like our YouTube, our Twitter, our Facebook.
They look cool.
Yeah, everything has new banners. So go check those out and appreciate the way that
over me is love. Do you hear that song?
Yeah, to bring it back to a little Sunday school status. Go check those out. And also, I finally made us an Instagram. So, yeah, that's pretty rad. So follow us on Instagram if you haven't already, at Electric Fan Cave. Kristen has said she might be a little better at posting at that.
Possibly. Because there have been a few times where I've done something and I've like wanted to be like, oh, I should share this with people.
People would be into this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have like tweeted it or something, but instead I didn't do anything with it, and I just probably didn't take the picture in the long run. But I'm like into
now you
it.
have an outlet,
and plus now that Instagram is like lets you switch between accounts super easily. Like before, it was always.
Sorry, this broke up while you were saying that.
Oh,
what does Instagram?
Instagram now lets you switch between accounts really easily. Whereas before you had to like log all the way out and log back in, and it was like a huge cluster. So this will be the only one thing is that like I get all these like crazy notifications, and I'm like, what? I haven't posted anything. I was like, oh, that's what it is.
Oh, it was me.
It was Corey.
What happens? This is always the funny thing is like with our Twitter and our Facebook too. Sometimes it's really obvious which one of us posted something, and other times less so. At least on the Facebook, it tells us like posted by Corey Russell or posted by Chris Latterell. But on Twitter, especially, sometimes I look and people respond, and I'm like, did I say that or did Kristen? And I'm just like genuinely confused as to what.
Yeah.
It's like something I would have said, but I don't remember writing it. And I do sleep text, so maybe I sleep tweeted. I'm not sure. Say, we have an Instagram now. I will be able to tell which things Kristen and I post on it, but no promises. Maybe. We also have to sadly amend. Great moment. If you. That's just pure despair is what that is. If you listened last week talking about fall television, I interrupted because Nerdist had posted.
Nerdist of all people.
Nerdist. You would think would be trustworthy, you know, of all places. They had posted. I don't blame them.
I think it was just a premature excitement on their part, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, John Boyega in Black Panther, which is already full of amazing people that we're in love with. So it was overwhelming. Kristen nearly died on the air. Not true.
It's not true.
It's like, if you read any of the like correction pages, like what the publicist put out about it was like, that's not true. He's not going to be in it, but he's filming Star Wars 8. And we're like, yeah, of course he's filming Star Wars 8.
Yeah, that's what you feel better. We already knew that.
That's the same amount of John Boyega we expected, not more John Boyega. So it was a little. And the one story that I
read, the correction story was like, oh. Like rumors, not even director, producer or something. No, Kevin Feige. Oh crap!
Whatever his name is, yeah.
What started following him on Twitter, and I was like, if that's the reason, I'm even more pissed because that's annoying.
Yeah, like that's the dumbest thing on the planet. That it was literally he followed him on Twitter and was like, oh, he must be in Black Panther. Like, come on.
I follow Michelle Obama. People don't think I'm the next president.
I've actually made that assumption. No, this is also up there with the baffling. Have you seen all of the trending topics and stuff about how Katie Holmes and Jamie Foxx are not getting married and having a baby?
Yeah, who cares?
It's the weirdest non-story on the planet because up until the story that they weren't getting married. There was like no story that they were.
Right.
It's like everywhere, and it won't leave my trending topics. Like, I don't even Googled. I was like, where did this even come from? And it was just sort of like, they kind of like, they hung out a little bit or something. Like, and he's like, I've got a girlfriend. I don't know. And it's just baffling to me. That's all. The way that these weird rumors start to its root, and you're just like, she probably followed him on Twitter, and everyone's like, they are having a baby.
Yep.
Straight up pregnant. That's the only reason you would follow Jamie Foxx on Twitter. Internet, you kill me.
Yeah. Get it together, people. Sometimes you do great things. Sometimes you do lame things.
Yeah. Sometimes you give us the happy Chewbacca lady.
And sometimes you dash all of our hopes and dreams against the rocks of, disappointment and despair.
Amen. Amen. Did you watch the happy Chewbacca lady, by the way?
Yes, I did. It was the most delightful thing in the whole world. I just laughed. I was laughing so hard because she is laughing so hard. And you're like, it's not even that it's funny, but it's not as funny as how funny she finds it to be.
And she just, the thing that really got me is when she finally puts on the mask. I mean, I was laughing already. She puts on the mask and the sound comes out and she goes, "That's not me doing it. It's the mask."
It's the mask. Well, what was great is that the jaw moved with her. And so, oh man.
Laughed when it did that sound.
Yeah.
And then she just goes, "Oh, I'm such a happy Chewbacca."
Yeah. And she was laughing. Like, we've all been there when we've done something or, she was just embodying that joy that we all have felt at some point. And it was
where it's just, it's not that funny, but to me, this is everything now.
Right. Oh, totally. Oh. Yeah, totally. And so that was really funny. And then did you see her on James Corden this week?
Yeah. And she's everywhere now, too. So you guys watch the original clip if you haven't seen it yet, because trust us on this. There's a lot of viral things, and you might not watch them on principle, which is a thing I do sometimes just because I'm there's too much and I don't feel like being clickbaited into things. The happy Chewbacca lady. Our friend Sebastian Kedlechik from Penguins vs. Possums, his response was something like, "I want to say something snarky about this because I'm mostly dead inside, but it's just too good."
Yeah. That was part of the reason I watched it, because I was like, it was one of those things where I was ignoring it, and then I saw him post that, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch it, because that's kind of delightful, and then it was just funny.
And then it's amazing, and then her on Corden, and she's been all over the place. You can watch her just on everything at this point. And Kohl's came and surprised her with gift certificates and more Chewbacca masks for the rest of her family. And my friend Josh, he pointed out that actually the Chewbacca masks have just straight sold out. So this lady, he was like, Disney owes her.
Huge. Yeah.
You can't find these masks anywhere now. So what played? Candace.
Nicely done.
Or other. You did a great job.
Whatever your name is, you're hilarious.
About our movie trailers, because we have lots of them.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just start at the top. Let's start with the Beauty and the Beast teaser trailer that came out, which is actually funny that this even came up, because not even a week ago, I was wondering about this movie, and I can't remember why now, but something made me think, gosh, I wonder if they're still filming that. What's going on with that movie? And then I didn't look it up or whatever.
That's fine.
And then this teaser trailer dropped that is just, okay, here's the thing. I hate teaser trailers. So in principle, I hate this trailer only because I want more. So it makes me mad because I know we're gonna have to wait so long, but it is delightful. It's this, you get a little snippet of Lumiere and Cogsworth, and then you get to see the house inside, and they have the same kind of music, the music from the movie. And this, I don't know what it was, but the sound of Emma Watson's voice, got me. It's this very,
oh my God,
pretty silent-ish trailer, except for these two little lines, and then she says, "Hello?" And then you see her kind of looking at the rose in the thing, and I'm like, why am I feel like I don't know what it was, but
I literally because
that is awesome.
I mean, the trailer is so simple, like you said. It's just like basically you're getting views of the house, which is great, like in and of itself. Like I was already like a little tingly seeing the books,
and it was kind of fun watching it go into disarray,
And so you're already like kind of there, but so I had been discussing this with my class, and we were talking about trailers and teaser trailers, the class that I teach, mind you, not just a class I'm sitting in. And I mentioned the Beauty and the Beast trailer, and I was like, I haven't gotten a chance to watch it. And my students were like, let's watch it right now, because they'd all watched it that morning. And so we put it up, and I'm watching it, and when Emma Watson and she says hello, all of a sudden my eyes just like welled up, and I was like,
what's happening? What's going on?
No. I can't I can't turn around in my class and be like, what did you guys think?
We can tell weakness. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
I was like, well, suck it back up, come on.
Yeah. But it was so
effective for so little. Melanie Ray says, I'm so excited for this. Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie, and I can't wait to see how they expand on the story. Also, casting is spot on. I agree. As soon as they announced Emma Watson was going to be it, I was like,
Dan Stevens, Luke Evans, Ewan McGregor.
Kristen, I just had palpitations when you said Dan Stevens. Like, oh my God, I can't with that guy. He's too perfect. Amazing. So great. And Josh Legurn just said amazing with 4 exclamation points on it. Our post about it.
And I will say this for the trailer. It was better than the Cinderella teaser trailer that we got.
That we were comparing
Actually, I'm still kind of pissed about it because it made me
ranted on that one.
I did rant about it. Probably on here I ranted about how pissed it made me. So at least I think they probably learned their lesson, because I'm pretty sure that one was like, you guys, this isn't a teaser trailer. This is like a Harry Potter picture in the newspaper of the thing moving. Like, that's what this is. So
right.
So I'm super pumped. The only bummer is it doesn't come out till like next March, and I'm like,
Because my class was like, wait, March 20. And the funny thing was, too, like, I was obviously the one who noticed this because they were like, 2017. I was like, and St. Patrick's Day 2017. Yeah. Which seems like a strange choice. But yeah, so this gets you like super excited on it. We'll go into this trailer as well. But I thought it was funny because I think we actually mentioned it. It was just you and I in person. It's hard to keep track. But that it's like this Disney movie and a lot of other things, it's been the pattern to release some teaser thing like a year and a half, 2 years in advance, and then like slowly release more teasers until you finally get like the real trailer. And one of the things that weird is that like Star Trek Beyond hasn't really done that, and so it's coming out in like a month and a half. And they just released this trailer. It's the second trailer. They did one before Star Wars too, but this is like the first really like meaty trailer that they've put out. Yeah. And like it's you're like, I feel like I should have been prepping for this constantly.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot about it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right.
Like I forgot it was coming. And then it was like, and you're right, it's like coming out in July or something. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
I guess it's about
and
that.
The trailer was a little bit like getting punched in the face.
It's a lot in it.
There's a lot happening and zero explanation. Like,
right. It's good to hear you say that because normally I just don't, so I never know what's happening in them, and you can usually explain them. But I'm still excited about it because, for one thing, there's a lot of bones.
Yes.
The last movie, was Into Darkness, disappointed me greatly, but there were some good. He wasn't there enough, and in this one, it's like half this trailer he's in and imparting some form of wisdom or things like that, and I feel like it's really classic, like original series Bones, and it's Carl Urban that I obviously just want to see
all of the things. Yes.
Yeah,
I really liked the scene with him and Spock when he was like, oh, it's whatever he said, foolish. And he's like, no, it's what keeps us. And he's got that voice, you know, that's just, we are super into voices right now. And it's even his is kind of the like almost narrating, like it's the voiceover part of the trailer too, because he's like talking to Kirk and then he's talking to Spock. And it's like not even necessarily showing him a whole lot, but he's talking throughout it. And you're just like, oh my gosh, he's just, and there's a lot of Scotty in it.
There's
there's a lot of Simon Pegg in it.
There's a lot of Simon Pegg in it. And they're the sort of alien that they join forces with in this the gal from Kingsman, who I think is wonderful.
The Blade Runner girl?
Yeah. That's her.
Oh.
So that's pretty sweet. I'm excited to see her in that because I liked her a lot in Kingsman. I feel like, she have a ton of lines in that, obviously, but she embodied that character, I think, really well. So her name's Sophia Botella, and she's playing Jayla in it, and she seemed great. And then Idris Elba is the villain in it.
He is? These movies with the aliens are very confusing for me because they were so different.
No idea what's going on underneath all of that.
And his voice, it's hard for me if I'm not already listening for the voice, and he only said like one thing. I think that's right. I'm assuming that was him. That was like, we don't. That guy. Yep. Yeah, I mean, so I am pumped, although I didn't actually watch the last Star Trek, so I guess maybe I should just to have watched
Watch in the Darkness?
No.
That's fair. I mean, I think you should.
I should watch it. I know it's not your favorite. Yeah.
I don't.
That's what I said. It's not. I know it's not your favorite.
I thought you said it. I know it's like a favorite. I was like, no. But
no.
I'm a little sad because apparently someone posted who was excited about this because she's going, but they're doing the Star Trek premiere con this year. And which is great if you have tickets to Comic-Con, you know, but I was really hoping when I went to the Star Trek Into Darkness premiere in LA with producer Bree, this amazing group of friends there, and we're all friends now through this. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we should reassemble, 3 years later and go to this premiere in LA to be awesome. Like, it was so great. We all group pictures, like we got Chris Pine to kiss one of the gals that was with us, and I was like, oh, it'd be so great. And then I was like, oh, it's gonna be at Comic-Con. Okay, cool. I guess that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that's sad for me. But
see it together.
Yeah, that's true. We should arrange a trip to go see it together.
The next best.
It's something.
Thing. So
feel good about it.
Yeah.
Not Into Darkness. Star Trek Beyond trailer.
And it's by our boy Justin Lin. So
how did I not even bring that up yet? Oh my gosh. Justin Lin, I don't think I'm trying to think. I think I did watch one thing that he directed that I was like, maybe not great. I want to say, did he direct like Annabelle or something really weird like that?
I don't even know what that is.
I'm going to look.
Is that the movie about the doll? Yeah, I didn't see that.
I'm trying to think. There was something I watched that I was like, okay, not his best. But in general, I don't think I've ever really been disappointed in movie. I think he's kind of untouchable. He's doing Space Jam 2. So there's that.
What?
Yeah, he's doing Space Jam 2.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
I don't know. No, I think I like everything that I've seen that he's done. Yeah, well, he's doing. I like Untitled Jeremy Renner Bourne sequel.
Ooh, he's gonna do that one. I liked Jeremy.
He also
Renner
did a
Bourne
short
movie.
called. I haven't seen it, but he did 3 episodes of Community, including one of my favorite episodes, Modern Warfare, and I don't even like Community, so he managed to direct one of the few episodes of Community.
There you go.
So I feel great about Star Trek. And this before we move on. This new Star Trek, we are getting new aliens and new villains. One of my biggest problems with the second one was that it was rehashing like Wrath of Khan essentially, and just sort of reverse some things and stuff, but it was way too like it thought fan service was merely copying the plot.
Yeah.
And like changing some things around. And so with this one, we're not dealing with anyone that we've seen before. So it takes away that whole like, you know, oh, we're just rehashing something we've done in the past. They can change things and, you know, actually make sort of a more original story this time.
Cool.
Heck, we're doing this. I feel good about it. Had a long extended trailer for
I didn't watch it on purpose. No.
Oh.
I don't like long trailers. I want a short one. I want a glimpse of the movie. I don't want you to tell me the whole plot before I get there. I want to be surprised. Like I want to be stoked and you show me some of the cool parts. But I don't want to watch 5 minutes of if I want to go to a sneak peek of the movie, I'd go to a sneak peek. I don't. So if you want, I can take my headphones out and you can just talk to yourself about it. But
I won't give a ton away. I'll just say you see a lot of things you've already seen in the trailers.
Yeah. The first
just sort of
minute almost of it is like the same.
That you just get like little glimpses of scenes, like it kind of explains. So you see in the trailers that Brent Spiner's character is back, which you thought died in the initial one. That becomes sort of important that he didn't use his vocal cords to speak. Yeah. And so you see that sort of becoming actually like a really important plot moment in this. So, you know, there's that like kind of explanation there, which is interesting. It's not, I don't think it's giving a ton away, but I won't give it away for you just because it is a scene from the movie that might be interesting to watch. And then you see a little bit of sort of the relational elements between people. So you see the relationship between Liam Hemsworth and Micah Monroe, you know, the president's daughter.
That's his wife, right?
I don't know if it said whether they were married or whatever.
One thing I read sort of they were married. Anyway, go ahead.
But there's sort of video chatting in it, and you get a little bit of that, and you get to see a little bit of her and her dad and their relationship in it. And you get to see a little more of Jeff Goldblum and Liam Hemsworth in it. And it's about the same amount of Will Smith and Will Smith's son relational aspect, but it's just sort of expands upon and lets you see like a little bit of the dynamics of the characters more, as well as showing you the technology.
Yeah.
So basically it's kind of like you know, you're looking at this and you're like, so what exactly happened here? And you see how they built up this technology in order to prevent stuff from happening. But then you see exactly kind of what it is that the aliens have now pioneered that is like, holy crap, this is insane. How do we combat this?
Right.
You know, if you're not worried about getting too much spoiled for you or things like that, and I wouldn't say it's spoilery, I don't think it's giving away anything that you probably won't know early on in the movie, but like see a scene and you want it to be fresh to you, don't watch it. But if you're kind of interested in going to set up the film, you know, 4.5 minutes worth watching.
Cool.
I enjoyed it. I got really pumped. I was watching it and I was just stoked on the whole thing. And I was like, I cannot wait to watch this movie.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped for it. But I was just like, there's been a couple of times where I haven't watched like third or fourth trailers. Or I'm like, I just want to go and see it. I don't need to keep watching I don't know.
I get it. I can understand why.
So
I
can't understand the people who have the self-control to not watch any trailers. I'm like, I am not that good.
We talked about this also in my class.
When Star Wars and stuff, like, I haven't watched any. I was like, I'm sorry.
Like nothing?
Back that up and tell me again. So anyway, but this isn't quite my case.
My students don't watch trailers at all because they don't want to know anything about it.
Oh, I was like, that's definitely not my life.
That's a lot. But then on the other end of the spectrum, John Vanderhoff, who we've had on this show several times and who's a big Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, he not only watches trailers, but he reads for spoilers and things like that ahead of time. Like, he wants to know things before he goes in and sees them. And I'm like,
what?
No.
I've avoided the
Just
internet for
nay,
like
sir.
a week until I saw Captain America: Civil War,
which I saw again today, which was delightful. And something that I noticed in it this time when we do get Amy in here to talk about it. Me. But yeah, also for those of you out there who are Game of Thrones fans, I feel sorry for you if you didn't get to watch this week's episode on time, because social media like completely ruined that one. I don't even watch that show, and it was like within 10 minutes of it airing, I knew exactly what had happened in the episode just from Facebook and Twitter, and not even seeking them out, just scrolling through. I was like, oh yeah, okay. So it was a rough week to be a Game of Thrones fan.
If you don't watch it, and it kind of sucks. It's one of those things where it's one of the few shows I feel like that if you aren't watching it now, it's pointless to even start, because all of the major twists have been ruined for you.
No, I've watched maybe 3 episodes ever. Yeah. And I could still like point at each character and tell you what their name is and what happened, how they died, and all this kind of stuff. Like,
I didn't get any of that. You froze.
Oh, I said I have only watched like 3 episodes of it, and I could still tell you like each character's name and how they died, and like all the major plot points of this show. And it's not like I'm reading articles about it either. It's just I exist on the internet. And so, yeah, if you wanted to get into it later, it would have to be, you have to be the kind of person who doesn't care that already what's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
To a certain extent, like just going back to Star Wars again, like people, it's hard not to already know what happens in a lot of like what used to be twists in Star Wars. Yeah. But people still, enjoy them even knowing what's going to happen in them. Your entire life knowing the Luke, I'm your father thing. Yeah. And it doesn't ruin it, so that kind of Game of Thronesy stuff, it's probably hard to ruin it for you. And oh Lord. So did you watch the trailer?
Yeah. What is this movie?
It is like, so I was sitting, you guys, oh my God. I'm sitting last night, and it wasn't like I was watching SNL or something like that, but for a minute I was like, maybe I wasn't paying attention and it switched to SNL. This trailer started, just like the entire time I was watching it, I was waiting for the punchline. I was like, this is a joke. This isn't a real movie. Like, okay, haha. What? And it's Kevin Spacey, some sort of powerful businessman type guy, and he goes into, and there's a cat and Christopher Walken. They turn him into a cat?
Yeah, Christopher Walken's some kind of wizard or something?
Yeah, some sort of sorcerer that turns Kevin Spacey into a cat. A whole bunch of terrible cat jokes. And him trying to, like, tell people that he's a human and not a cat, but it's not working. Oh, like...
And why is...
Applicable, right?
And why is he married to Jennifer Garner?
And he's married to Jennifer Garner. And poor Jennifer Garner is clearly in divorce mode with the movies that she's been in. Like, was it Miracles from Heaven or whatever it was called? Yeah. And this. And you're just like, girl, you can do so much better.
Like, do you remember that you were in Alias?
Like, you're Jennifer Garner. Power.
Yeah.
Bet. Kevin Spacey is married to Jennifer Garner, and it makes no sense. And the whole thing
is a week to get his act together, or he's going to be a cat forever.
It's, oh man. It's one of those things where it's just like, I can't imagine into this.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's inexplicable. My brain just wants to explode when I see it. So please, everyone, just watch this trailer for me. It's linked on the blog on electricfeast.com after this for 9 lives, and just me how weird it is that this movie exists and what like a blatant like all of these people need to pay for their yacht or something, because nobody read this script and was like, yeah, this is my passion project right here.
Just
I don't even know.
I'm with you on that one.
By the way, Amy just messaged me and she said she's gonna fire up the computer. She said, when do you want me to jump in? If you're listening, Amy, whenever you want to join in, we'll incorporate you into the conversation here. In the meantime, let's talk. I
think we should talk Bond. Oh, I was gonna do Bond. No, that bad?
Yeah. Bring it to us, Kristen.
So if you guys have been, and we've been following this, everybody, the world, there's like a betting pool going on as to who's going to be the next Bond. So Daniel Craig, now there's all sorts of rumors around that, even he really is, but I'm pretty sure he's really stepping down. He doesn't want to do another Bond movie.
He seems really done.
He seems really done. People keep trying to make it seem like maybe he's not, but he's done. So there's all of these rumors swirling for a while. Everyone was saying Tom Hiddleston, and he's kind of been taken off the table. He's like, no one's talked to me about it. I remember like a long time ago, there was this Idris Elba, name was being thrown out there. Tom Hardy's. Just every British actor in the known world, their name has been thrown into this pot, basically. So then today, and someone made this fan-made poster of Gillian Anderson. So I'm sure I don't need to explain to you who that is, but I guess if you don't know who she is, she's from X-Files and Fall, and it's wonderful. And we have a crush on her here. And it's this really great picture of her standing in this like white, and it's clearly like a photo from her, probably from the Fall or something. And she's standing like with her hands, whatever, doing something in front of this like 007 poster. And she posts it and she was like, oh, Bond, Jane Bond. She's like, I don't know who made this, but I love this poster. And it's like, now all of a sudden people are like, yeah, Gillian Anderson is Bond, and throwing her name in to the ring. And she's like all about it. She's like, yeah, I would love to do that. Like,
tagged it next Bond.
Yeah, was like super into it, which is so fun. Obviously that was just like a thing. One thing that the internet is doing that's fun is, they can get these, what do you want to call them? Campaigns for people that they like, and they don't always, doesn't necessarily ever work, but it's fun sometimes to see the artwork and the creativity that comes from people wanting to push their candidate for the role. So
and I think it would be like the person's on board,
totally,
like she's like,
let's do this. And I think it's a super interesting idea. Like for me, I was like all about pretty much all the names they'd been throwing out. I was like, Tom Hiddleston, Tom Hardy, Idris Elba. Yeah, great. Any of those guys, I'd be sold. I was in for all of them. And like, it never crossed my mind that they would even, and they probably aren't, but that like someone would even suggest a woman, which was so like, I guess, I don't know. Right. I guess I'm, reeling from the Ghostbusters backlash. I'm like, there's no way anybody would accept that.
Like, we're just not doing that anymore now.
Yeah. No one would accept that as a thing. And so it was so interesting. I was like, oh, but that would be awesome. Like, let's think about how that would be. And
you can just
think it'd be so. I honestly think it would be great because it would breathe some life into James Bond. Is just always the same. I think Daniel Craig did something a little bit different. He was a little bit more broody, and it wasn't quite the campiness that you get from some of the older Bond movies. So he was a little bit different and kind of gave him a little bit more meat and background.
Right.
But even that was getting a little bit stale. And then like the last Bond
like
movie
the Spectre was just like
super boring, and like Christoph Waltz was like
boring. And you could tell he was bored.
Yeah, and like
bored with it.
Christoph Waltz was super under. It was like he's like the worst. Like it was a like he's such a great guy and like such a great actor, and I was like, they just like threw him in that movie, to tell people he was in it. I feel like because
plays villains. Let's have him in this.
Put him in there, and it was like this throwaway thing. And it was just there was nothing to it. And I remember it coming out. My friend he like loves Bond. He's like, oh, what do you think? I was like, it's kind of boring. Like, it was not my favorite. Like Skyfall's still really great, but and so anyway, it'd be so cool to see Gillian Anderson or really any, if they got, at this point I'm putting Emma Watson in everything. I'm like,
yeah, right. I'll take Emma Watson as Bond. Yeah. I'm for that.
So she might be a little
Amy,
small.
are you there?
Her picture's...
Hey, there she is! Hey, girl, hey, how's it going?
Oh.
Your mic's not on.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you go.
Yes, there you are.
Okay. My headphones sometimes shut off my microphone.
Oh, yeah. No. Do you have the kind that has the little mic thing right here?
Nope.
Oh, nope. It's just a weird thing.
I can go get like my big earmuff ones if that would be better.
Oh, you're fine. I think we're okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you sound fine. How's it going, Amy? You just got off work at the comic book store.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm exhausted. I just called everybody to let them know we've got their comics for them.
Yeah.
Nice.
I look forward to. I was about to say I look forward to the voicemail, but actually, A, I don't know how to check my voicemail, and B, I might not even have voicemail because I didn't set it up.
Yours tells me that you don't have a voicemail every week, so we just drop a little smiley face next to your name like we tried.
You tried, yeah. That's I'll be in to get them soon. I'll be in to get the books soon.
Also, Corey, learn how to set up your voicemail. It's not that hard.
I'm sure it's not, but I also don't check them, so if it just tells people I don't have voicemail, it kind of cuts out that whole maybe I'll hear it thing.
But what if I have a really cool voicemail to leave you one day?
I feel like that's not ever going to happen.
Yeah, one time I did leave you one, and I sent you a text message. I was like, listen to this voicemail. It's really good.
Did you? What was it about?
Yeah, it was about Martin McCann.
Oh, that's right. That did happen. That's true.
So,
also, I once... producer Bree's voicemail is me on there. I did set up her voicemail and not mine, but every time I actually get that voicemail, it throws me off. I'm like, that doesn't sound like Bree. Oh, that's me. That's my voice.
What?
Yeah. So, Amy.
Yeah.
We have questions for you.
And I hopefully have answers.
So, this week, we have received many new casting announcements for Thor 3, which will be coming out eventually. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of these. I'm sure you know. So, what we want to know...
Spider-Man and whatever, so it's coming out somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the roster somewhere. So what we want to know from you, first and foremost, are who has been cast, and what roles are they playing, and who are these people? So feel free to monologue at us. We want to know. We need your knowledge on what's happening here.
All right. So, I can't tell you who some of the actors are. I mean, I know for the most part who the actors are. I actually don't know who Carl Urban himself is, but I know the characters.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Amy, get out!
Amy! No! We invited you on the show! We have been nothing but nice to
make a fool of myself. Oh.
You failed me. You failed me. This is right now also for anyone at home who is not, personal friends with me. My Facebook photo right now is me hugging Carl Urban. I have an obsession.
I know. He's the dude that hugged you.
Carl.
That's all I know about him.
Amy, it's okay. That's why we're here. So you can ask us who these people are, and you can tell us about the characters and tell us where the heck Jane is, because I'm a little bit confused as to what's happening. Sorry.
Yeah, so we'll get past this. So yeah,
go.
Tell us what to expect here.
Okay. I feel like the last time I came on, there was some movie I hadn't seen, and I embarrassed myself again. It's a habit.
It's a trend.
We got 4 big cast members. They're all Asgard people, which is really exciting. Well, except for Jeff Goldblum, but he's another story. So I'm gonna start with Cate Blanchett. She's playing Hela, and that was kind of the first rumor that came out for casting, and that's really exciting. I love that character because she has the most ridiculous headpiece, which we actually get to see in the concept art that came out with the announcement for the casting, and she's got like antlers like everywhere. But she's really cool. She's the goddess of the underworld, and in the comics, she's the daughter of Loki, but I don't think they're gonna go there in the films.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird.
Unless Thor's like, surprise, like this is my niece and she's here to wreck everybody's shit. But I don't think they're gonna do that. So she's really cool. because she's the queen of the underworld, her domain is dead people, and so her only agenda is to have more people to rule over. So she likes it when people die.
Yeah, I can see how that would be in her favor.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, the realm she presides over is called Hell, Hel. But sometimes she's in this place called Niflheim, which is also like a place for the dead, which is weird. So I don't know where they're gonna go with that. But with her, they also announced Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. And so I don't know if she's the Valkyrie, because there is one named Brunhild, and she's kind of the Valkyrie in the comics. But the Valkyries are the race of women who decide where you go when you die. If you were a cool warrior, you get to go to Valhalla. And if you weren't, you go to Hell. And Hell's actually not as bad as, like, the Christian Hell.
Okay.
It's just not as cool as the warrior afterlife, which is like an eternal party, essentially.
Sure.
Yeah, so she might be cool to see alongside Hela. It's weird because I'm from SoCal, so I know her name is Hela, but I hate saying it.
It just brings up all these NorCal connotations.
Hela. No, so that's really cool. So Tessa Thompson, I'm super excited about that. The Thor movies have been really good about casting a lot of female characters. So I'm glad they have those two, because they lost most of the female cast. They killed Frigga in the movies, and then Jane and Darcy are going to be absent from this film. So I'm glad they've got some new female characters going in, and that's really cool because we'll probably see somebody getting killed, or like she'll have to deal with. I mean, there's always people getting killed.
Well, especially because it seems like this feels very death-centric, obviously, from the characters so far that you've described. Like, this is gonna be a big part of what's happening here is death.
Oh yeah, I mean, Carl Urban's playing Scourge, who's also known as the Executioner, so I'm sure he's not here to have a good time with people.
Nope, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, and for people, I don't want to assume, but for people who don't know, Ragnarok is the Norse apocalypse. So there's gonna be some stuff going down in this one. But I'm intrigued because I've heard it described by Mark Ruffalo as an intergalactic buddy road trip movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny.
I'm like, this is not really lining up with the one article that I've read about.
Like,
it was literally that article. So.
Like, the Dark World was surprisingly funny, and they were like, oh, it's got a Game of Thrones director, it's going to go all Game of Thrones, but the Dark World wasn't even that dark, so...
No.
I don't know.
It definitely wasn't. I liked the second one more than I liked the first, so there's that, but, maybe blasphemy.
The first one is, like, untouchable for me. Like, the first one was, like...
Is that what kickstarted your Thor fandom, was the first one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, surprisingly, most people would consider my journey into comics kind of a fake geek girl thing. I saw the first Iron Man. I saw the first Iron Man in middle school, and I hated it. I was like...
Oh, wow.
Like, I didn't get it. It wasn't for me. But granted, the only other two superhero movies I'd ever seen before that were Batman and Robin with the Bat couples, and Spider-Man 3.
Oh man, Amy, you poor soul.
It's a rough life, Amy.
That is a
rough. No kidding. So I don't know what happened, but something compelled me to see the Avengers, and I was like, Chris Hemsworth's kind of cute. So I went and they had all the films on. They had all the other ones on Netflix: Captain America, Iron Man 2, and Thor. And I watched all of them in one day, and I was just like, I just glommed onto Thor. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. It was Chris Hemsworth and Kenneth Branagh, Natalie Portman, Shakespeare with heroes. Like, that was my thing. So then, I mean, I kind of launched headfirst into that, but that was only in the last, like, 3 or 4 years.
Right. Yeah. So are we missing?
So cool, because you know lots of things, so you have done a very good job on your homework.
Yeah, you made the transition very well from not being into this stuff to totally knowing your ish. The funny thing was, I was just saying to Kristen, I went and saw Civil War again earlier today, and thus I had already read Mark Ruffalo talking about the intergalactic buddy road trip, you know. And so then when in Civil War they're like, hey, does anyone know where Thor and Banner are? You know, we like if I lost a couple of nukes, it would be a problem. I was like, oh, because Thor and Banner are on their intergalactic buddy road trip right now. That's why they're not here. That's what's going on.
The Hulk launched himself straight into space at the end of the last Avengers movie.
Yeah, I'm like, it's all coming together, you know.
Yeah.
So is that all our news on the Thor front then? Did we miss anybody?
No, we got the two dudes now.
So Goldberg.
Goldblum and
Goldblum. I said Goldberg.
Close enough. Yeah, so just to finish off the death trio there, so we've got Carl Urban as Scourge, who's also known as the Executioner. So this guy in the comics is half frost giant, which is the race that Loki comes from, but he's also part Asgardian. And he's known as the Executioner. He's just kind of a brute strength guy who kills people for fun. He usually teams up with Amora the Enchantress, which is interesting. I don't know if they're going to have anyone to be Amora, or if we're going to... in the comics, sometimes Scourge is dead and serves Hela. That happened in the most recent, like, Angela, Queen of Hell series. So he might already be dead and, like, working for her. I don't know, but usually he shows up with Amora the Enchantress, who's also bad news for Thor. And there's potential for her because her younger sister Lorelei, was introduced in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. Their whole thing is love potions and getting men to fall in love with them and do bidding.
I saw that episode. That girl was crazy.
Yeah, and Sif was in that episode, and Jamie Alexander has said that we shouldn't worry about her coming back or not. I know her involvement with the Dark World was greatly reduced because she got a back injury filming. So they had to cut a lot of her stuff. Yeah, they had to cut down a lot of her stuff because she really hurt herself. So she says she's going to be back. I mean, Feige didn't talk about that on the podcast, but so she should be back. And Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings are out because, I mean, they say because most of the movie's in space, but I don't know why we can't take the woman who's literally researching inner space travel and put her in space. I mean, I guess she's not allowed to go to space, but whatever.
Fair enough.
Well, I had read that Jamie Alexander wasn't going to be in this because she was filming Blind Spot. Is that not true?
Probably
I mean,
a little bit of all of it.
But she said we shouldn't worry about her coming back. I don't, unless I'm misinterpreting that as a, don't worry, I'm definitely not going to be filming it.
Yeah. It'd be a weird way of putting it.
There were talks that she and Idris Elba kind of wanted out of the franchise, but I mean, all that stuff is rumors and it ggets blown out of proportion a lot. So I don't know if we're going to see Idris Elba, but she seems like she's going to be back in it. Because, I mean, Thor's going to need some friends in this one. I mean, Hulk is a great friend to have on an intergalactic road trip, but he's going to need some of his friends who know what they're doing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so the last casting news, Jeff Goldblum. I don't know how Chris Hemsworth's going to feel about not being the hottest man in the film anymore.
Amen, sister, amen.
But... His character is interesting because he's actually not an Asgardian, but he is related to another character we've already seen in the films. He's related to Benicio del Toro's Collector, who was in the end for the Dark World and was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. So I actually, when it was announced that he was Grandmaster, I had no idea who that was, and then I reminded myself, and I actually remembered him a lot more. So the Grandmaster is part of this race of people called the Elders, which were like kind of the first people in space after Marvel's Big Bang. Right. So his brother is the Collector, Tannelir Tivan, who has one of the Infinity Stones that was given to him at the end of the Dark World. And then him. So he had some of the Infinity Stones. And the Grandmaster in the comics is usually in control of one called the Mind Stone, but the Vision has the Mind Stone right now in the Avengers. Yeah. So he's probably going to have one that we haven't seen yet, like the Soul Gem. I mean, that might be a very useful one in a film about death and the Norse apocalypse and dealing with where all the souls go. So the Grandmaster, he's an elder. He doesn't really try to meddle in the affairs of gods and people, but when he does, his shtick is that he likes to play games with them. Like, he likes to make them chess pieces in his, like, giant chessboard or, like, mind control them so he can kind of do stuff with them. He likes to play with... Yeah.
I like this as a Goldblum character.
He's blue, so I don't know if we're going to see a blue Jeff Goldblum, but Jeff Goldblum. But
Jeff Goldblum, yes.
he's gonna. So I don't know how they're gonna use him in the film. He's definitely probably gonna have an Infinity Stone, since we're kind of after Thor. They're gonna kind of barrel towards Infinity War pretty quickly.
Right.
And Doctor Strange will probably deal with another. I think we've seen 4, and there's 6 total. So Doctor Strange is probably gonna deal with one heavily, and then I'm sure Thor Ragnarok is going to be the other film that kind of at least sees the passing of Infinity Gems. And so he's kind of a chaotic neutral, Jeff Goldblum, and so he's going to hopefully be as eccentric as the Collector was, because I love that character.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to be a huge part in the film or like a third act introduction or anything, but he's kind of above the realm of all these Asgardians and all their death shenanigans. So
all right, I like the sound of it, and hopefully when you watch this you will fall in love with Karl Urban so that you'll be on my level, and really be with it, so that next time we talk about
maybe we should just give her some movies to watch.
I feel like this is true.
I still haven't watched the ones from last time that you gave me to watch. And I don't remember what they were.
You're killing us, Amy. You are killing us.
I'm only good for one thing, and that's Thor.
Amy, I vouched for you to come on this episode to tell us these stories, and you don't even know who Karl Urban is, and you haven't watched any of our movie suggestions.
Well, what good is it if I know everything already?
It actually gives us a chance to just educate you, which is really what we want here. Just to feel like a little superior, when you're telling us all about Thor and we know nothing. Did you see any of the Give Captain America a Boyfriend hashtag today?
I didn't, except for when I logged onto Facebook to message you. I saw it was on the sidebar. I actually haven't seen any of it.
Okay, so today is an interesting development in social media, and this will be what we'll close out with a discussion of nice lighthearted discussion. But people on Twitter started the hashtag Give Captain America a Boyfriend, which, as it sounds, essentially was people saying, like, wouldn't it be great if we had Captain America in the next movie sort of a in canon gay character. And predictably, this sort of really ended up in this very, like, divided camps thing of, like, people who are, like, really for it and people who are like, SJWs and, things like that. And to sort of start the conversation off, in my sort of reading of it, it's really sort of an interesting case because, I mean, for me personally, I like Sharon? What's the girl?
Sharon Carter.
Sharon, yes. Sharon, I like her. I'm like, we've had 2 movies of them sort of like drifting towards being together. I think that is great, and I want to see more of them being together. So I like the person that he's already with.
What?
And what?
I missed it. You cut out.
Oh, I said I like the person he's already with.
Okay.
So there's that. And one of the things, I was actually talking to Mac, who works with Amy at the comic book store and has been on this show many times, about this, and the tendency to sort of, like, not allow for, like, role models of male friendship in these kinds of things. So, like, I'm totally for people, like, shipping whoever they want to ship with people. Like, that's cool. I don't care, like, ship your characters. But one of the things is that, like, men are not allowed to be, like, men who love each other without it being, like, a sexual thing. And there's something I really love about, like, his relationships with Bucky and with Sam and so forth being, like, these are strong male friendships, which is something that I think we need more of. So for me personally, I think it would be great to have a cool, like, in-canon gay superhero, and it could be Sam, it could be, you know, it could be Tony. Like, Tony's pretty heteroflexible as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know that, for me, I don't feel like Captain America, just in the way the movie is set up, would necessarily make sense to be that character, but I'm curious about you guys' thoughts on this.
I can go because I've thought about it today.
Yeah, you've thought about it. Give Amy some time to think about it.
Yeah, Amy, think while I just dispel some great wisdom here. Yeah, for me, it was one of those things where I was like so confused because I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, why? Okay,
right.
You know. Anyway, it seemed very random to me at first.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and I guess for me, like as far as like Captain America goes, I agree with you. It would be great if they had a character that that was gay. But for Captain America, it just seems like it's like all of these it's like we've kind of like been growing with him, you know, as he's like started as the, you know, little guy. He became Captain America. He got frozen. He came alive. This like whole kind of journey with him where they've built him up as something else. And I feel like it would almost just be, I feel like it would cheapen. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be like, oh, no, I don't know if cheapen is the word I want to use. And just
but I think I get, like, it's like when you put it in to just make a statement where it cheapens that actually being a developed character as being like, oh, you have a cool gay character here.
Oh, yeah, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, they said we should have one, so we made Captain America gay. I was like, no, why don't you actually spend the time, like, get a character or have one and then, like, use that as, like, to be part of their story that we journey along with them. I personally am not a huge fan of Sharon. I think it's a little bit creepy that he was like
a little weird.
His her great aunt. Also, I've already said that there's a huge flaw in the fact that her last name is Carter and her aunt was Peggy, because that would have to mean that Peggy's brother had a kid, but we all know that Peggy's brother died really early on in the war, which is why he even joined the war effort in the first place. So where the hell did this kid come from?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
You know, no, it had to be like a great aunt. So I was already like, that doesn't even make sense, first of all. Second, it's a little creepy. Like, went to the funeral with her, and they're like, also, let's make out in this, like, creepy underpass. I'm like, okay. I don't know. I'm not super into it.
It's like a parking lot.
I know.
Who hasn't made out in a parking lot, Kristen? Come on.
We all have. But I guess for me, it was just kind of like weird. It just seemed weird. It seemed a little forced. At first, when she was just like the girl down the hall, I was into it. But then when you found out she was like related to Peggy, I was kind of like, like that was like the love of his life. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, but don't worry, we'll just replace her with this hot young girl because she's old and dead. And you're like, okay. That's just anyway.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I liked their dynamic enough the first time around that I maybe gave a little more leeway than I should to the creepy dynamic that they have there.
I gave it 0 leeway. So I was not into it at all. And then I think I've already said it before, I wasn't, and for me too, it was kind of like, can't he just be a good friend? And that's funny that you said that. And but for me, it just kind of seemed like it'd be like an out of left field, like, oh, let's just throw this in there. And it's kind of like when J.K. Rowling is like, oh, by the way, Dumbledore was gay. Oh, by the way, so and so. I'm like, you know what? You didn't get any chance to delve into that. It's just this thing that you throw out afterwards so that people will be like happy that you had a gay character. When in reality, you didn't, because you didn't spend any time in that character when you're writing the book. You just threw it in as an afterthought so that you could say that you had one, which is super obnoxious, and so I feel like that would be the same thing here. Anyway, so I was like, you guys, come on, like, let's actually, if we're gonna like hashtag for something, like, let's spend give Elsa a girlfriend. I don't know if that's what it was called even, but that one I feel like you would have time because Elsa wasn't, I mean, you saw her kind of come into her own, but you didn't really know a whole lot about her. I mean, she was a very isolated child, so you can really kind of delve into her as a person in a second movie. Like, yeah, for sure, that would be a natural progression for someone like her, but not on movie 5 of a character that you've been with for the whatever past however long. So I was like, meh, whatever. Yeah, and I was like, I love him and Bucky. Like, I love the fact that Bucky knows him so well, and it's like his best friend, and that one made so like it was like, if you're gonna, honestly, I don't even ship him and Bucky. I do ship him and Sam for sure. Like, obviously.
For sure. Like, really, I can
clearly
work with
Sam is the better choice because he's like cocky and like funny, whereas like Bucky is different. It's just a whole different animal, and I was like, don't touch that relationship. It's so perfect and wonderful, and
I agree. If they're gonna do it, it would need to be Sam, not Bucky.
Yeah, obviously would have to be Sam. If you were gonna do it, that would be my vote. Yeah. No one cares what I think, but anyway, don't also just start over with someone else. Sorry, I'm done talking now.
I think everybody here has raised a lot of good points. I like what I guess Mac said about male friendship, because that is something really cool, and their friendship is really cool, and I do agree that I agree with both of you in the Sharon Carter situation. I like Sharon, but I feel like she's being treated poorly by the movies, and in the latest she was kind of just deployed as a, look, Steve is straight. He wants the Carter girls.
That's
he doesn't.
The point. Yeah.
Because everybody was like, oh, it's the Bucky movie. And so this is where my problem is that the films are not the best place for such radical changes, because I mean, first of all, the films have their huge agenda that they've already got planned out through like phase fucking 5. Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But they've got an agenda, and they won't take much like change with. I mean, it's going to be 2019 before we get Captain Marvel, and so if you're looking to the movies to enact your representation, they're not the best place, because they are slow. We only see the characters for 2.5 hours at a time every other year or so. Right. Where this would really be good would be a consideration for the comics. I mean, they just brought Captain America back. His new issue comes out tomorrow. I'm not going to say any spoilers from it because I looked at it at work, but the comics are a better place, I think, for the organicness of the characters, because I mean, look at the new female Thor. They actually worked that into the story since 2012, 2013. It was organic, and Sam taking on the mantle of Captain America in the comics was organic, and that's a place where we can really have that kind of a change, and that's monthly. You've got issues that come out consistently and tell a story, and you live with these characters for a lot longer. I do think in the films it would come off more as a gimmick if it was suddenly something that wasn't in the films, but I do wish with all my heart we could have that representation. I mean, I would even be good for a bisexual Steve Rogers, because he was interested in Peggy, and he is interested in Sharon. He could very well be interested in Sam and Bucky, but I think in the films it's better that, at least with Bucky, it's a friendship relationship, because there are so few strong male friendships like that. That's going to be our new thing. Instead of strong female characters, we need strong male friendships.
Strong male friendships. It's so important. It's so important to have that, because like we've talked a lot on this show about strong female friendships and what that means, and like the idea of representing female friendships as they are, as not being like this catty thing and stuff like that, and like supporting each other. And I think with men, it's like they're so often in media taught to be so emotionally stunted, you know, to like basically, you know, hashtag no homo on everything they say when it seems like they love somebody. And like to have these examples of these guys who like they love each other, like don't question that for a second. They would die for each other, but that they're not like sexually attracted to each other. Like that's important too, just in terms of like combating the toxic masculinity that often exists in our culture of guys like not being able to express that kind of relationship with one another and having to be so aggressive with one another, so, you know, pushing their things aside. I really think it's important that we have those characters, which is why I think Bucky, like you have both said, is so important to keep that platonic, which is largely what people are talking about with this whole campaign too, is like really they want to see Steve and Bucky. And that's, you know, if it was Steve and Sam, I think it would be a different thing. Whereas, as Mac and I talked about, like Steve and Sam have a meet cute, You know, like they sort of start as if they're like, if this were a rom-com, the way they started out, they would become a couple.
And Bucky would be like the best friend that's like taking Steve to coffee, and they're talking about, like that.
We talk about it. He'd be the train wreck LeBron.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, though, I think, Amy, you bring up too about like the development of these characters over time, is that one of the things you've seen about Steve is like how many years or whatever it took him to even get to this point with Sharon. Like, that it took all this time for them to finally even kiss in Civil War. You can't just have like his next movie, him all of a sudden being like really sexual with anyone other than her. Like, because it's going to take 5 more movies for him to get up the guts to like ask out another person, whether they're male or female, which I think does contribute to the problem of that organic sense of developing this.
Yeah, and I think that's the folly of the films just in general, how long it takes for each one to develop, how limited of a scope we get to see. And so, I mean, as a comic book store employee, I implore people to go to the comics if they're looking for like better, I mean, because there's some great characters in the comics that have been represented, and there's some great diversity, but like I think that's where shipping and like fanfic and stuff where you can take the characters and make them your own, that's great. The films unfortunately are tougher just because of how rigid they are. I mean, and the comics are much more adaptable, I think, and the comic creators have a lot of contact with their fans these days, and storylines are working slowly. These are pieces of media that take ages to create, and so as I wish with all my heart it would be so easy to say, hey, let's do this, and then boom, it happens. But like these things get built up, and I mean there's even backlash for like doing their thing and stuff. So like it's hard, especially with comic books and just I wish with all my heart that Steve could have a sexual identity, but I think one of the things, I mean, they do go into sex in the comics sometimes, but like largely about the films, it's not about that, and so I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to like come across as a hypocrite because I'm like the person who loves female Thor and Sam Wilson Captain America, but like I think unfortunately the films are just a monolith that kind of can't be moved for a long time at least.
Yeah, they're very sort of locked in, especially as you said earlier when we were talking about Thor, of it being like sort of that rush towards Infinity War and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I think any form of love story at this point is going to be sort of back burner in general. Like there's just so much.
It's going to be like
you start doing disservice to the characters. I do feel Sharon was a no homo device in Civil War, at least in
totally.
some aspects of it. So there's such limited treatment, and it's unfortunate. We can't have all the time in the world to do these things, but so in essence, we're with the people. Yeah, we're with the people on this, like, wanting to see something, that represents something other than just the normal heteronormative, like, thing that is the MCU at this point. Totally behind it. But at the same time, I think trying to incorporate this, like, into the next time we see Steve Rogers is just, from both a plot standpoint and from an activist standpoint, not one that is necessarily a positive step, because you never want it to just be like, we threw this in to pander to a bunch of people, and that's always going to be the thing that, like, people who are against this stuff, it's just pandering. I don't think that's, necessarily the case with everything, but I think trying to do something like that and just sort of throw it in feels a little like, you can't just accept anything that, like, as if all experiences, like, this guy living his very privileged white life, straight life, is going to be a fully formed, bisexual or homosexual character. It denies a lot of the lived experiences of actual people to try to do that way. I think it's an important discussion, though, like, in saying, hey, like, with the push for Captain Marvel, I never even thought a female character was going to have a movie. I mean, it's still kind of a ways off, but but the talk starts slow and the discussions happen and people start to change and realize and adapt. But unfortunately, it's just such a slow-moving process. I wish it could be so instantaneous and work for everybody, but
we're not. That's not, unfortunately, the landscape we live in. As we've said many times, look at Lady Ghostbusters and how much of a problem just that is for people. Good grief.
Breaking over every internet article that is posted and like, because I follow, like, I think it's Nerdist, and the first comment in Nerdist is always Nerdist saying, hey guys, we know this is a hot topic, but keep it respectful. And it breaks my heart that even that is not.
Yeah. But my favorite thing, though, I was thinking this yesterday on 2 days ago when they released the second international trailer for it, is that I love that Nerdist has launched a positivity campaign on this. So every single time a trailer for it comes out, they're like, this is awesome, this is great. And it just feels like a very intentional, like, we're not having this ridiculous negativity about a thing that, like, could be great for so many people, you know, that we have this awesome opportunity for representation, and it's something that we all love, like, let's be positive about it. And that's Nerdist in general, but I just really have loved their active campaign for Ghostbusters in the past several months. It's been refreshing in light of everything else.
Well, I suppose then I'll forgive them for misleading me about John Boyega this one time.
It's the one time that they get a pass for that is based on this. Anyways, gals, we've been chatting for quite a while, and it has been a delightful discussion. Amy, I'm so glad that you were able to join us this fine evening. Yes,
thank you. I am always happy to be the local THORrespondent. So
yes, it's delightful. I'll be in and pick up my books soon. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Maybe.
Excellent.
So for this week, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow us on all the things on the YouTube, the iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you can find podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Electric Fancave, on YouTube we're the Electric Feast, and now on Instagram at Electric Fancave, and also Facebook as well. Go check out all the awesome banners I made for all of our headers yesterday. And don't forget to rate and review us and subscribe. And if you missed last week's 100th episode, check it out, you guys. It was a really fun time, and I think you'll like it.
Super uncomfortable. You should totally watch.
Can I plug myself real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to hear me rant more about Thor, I am on Twitter at ifshebeworthy. That's a Thor reference. And I also write comic book reviews for the Geek Initiative. We are www.geekinitiative.com, and we are focused on celebrating women and diversity in comics and geek media. So that's cool too.
Like all of
and
those
also
things.
Amy's just an amazing artist and writer and everything, so you should follow her everywhere. Read her things, enjoy her things. Delightful. So for this week, I'm Corrigan Vaughn.
I'm Kristen Latterell.
And I'm Amy Chase.
Peace out, everybody.
Take it easy, kids.